What's up, everybody? This is Bernard Damon Holcomb. Welcome to the Damon Speaks show. Usually we start at 8 p.m., but we had a few technical difficulties, but it just really folds into everything that we're going to be talking about tonight. I am so pleased to bring my friend Mehn on the
Hey,
show.
I'm so happy to be here. Finally.
Finally.
After all of our technical difficulties and, just not giving up. That's what it's about. That's what's up.
Listen, the devil is a liar. If we happen to get disconnected, I'm gonna keep it going. I'm gonna keep the party going. You just come right back in. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
yeah, I'm just going to invite myself right back in and be like, excuse me, devil. I'm coming. Move over. Excuse
So
me. Excuse me.
tell the people who you are. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, thank you. So my name is Mehn. I have started a website. It's abeautifulLifeNow.com, a wellness website, a self-empowerment website, a love yourself a little more website. um, yeah, just in regards to really, embracing the now, our mental health today, self-care today. It's something that I myself have struggled with, and and I'm just excited that this is the next natural progression um, of the journey in my life. So, and I'm really excited, to be here, with you because, besides being amazing just on your own, I'm lucky enough to also be friends with you. So,
You are such a good friend, and you're also one of my faithful viewers. Like you're
yeah.
always here supporting, watching, doing all the things. Tell me about the process of creating your website, creating your blog. Like, was it easy peasy? Did it just happen like overnight?
No, over mm, 895 nights. I don't know. How do you, what's 365, 300, you know what I mean? 65 days a year times three. Let's see. Yeah, over 1,000 nights. Yeah. No. So, like anything, it started with an idea. And I knew it's so interesting that I'm like a content creator for a blog right now because, you know, I had a thought like, okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, I thought blogging would be cool. Like, I was like, okay, I thought that would be, and remember years ago, I was kind of just telling you about it too. Like, oh, I'd love to kind of do, a blog, like, be a blogger just because for me, like the freedom around that, the connection, the World Wide Web, it's huge, reaching people, being of service in that way. I just thought it would be a great, for me, it'd be a great way to pivot in my life at that time, 3 years ago. Now, so of course, the idea in my head was not going to be the reality that unfolded in my life. So, like anything, I kind of did some research. What it would what would it entail? And even then, it was like, oh, great, like because I'm an artist by trade, so I'm like, oh, this will be fun. Like I can write. I love poetry. I like to sing. Yeah, it'll just be like writing some articles, putting it out there. But when I actually I ended up getting this course, this really great course, and the course, like you just check it off anytime. It was like videos, reading that, and it's like going to school. Like I'm like, all right, so here we go. Like, and it just also taught me again, in like that progression in life that okay, again, sometimes I think I want to do something like, yeah, great, let's just get it done. It's going to be overnight. Like, why would it not be overnight, right? It's something I want to do. Like, I could just make it happen. But no, yeah, no. This is 3 years. Yeah, 3 years, and I'm still, launching. Yeah, so, and it doesn't have to be that way for everyone. So that's the beauty of why I love the progression, kind of like of my, my transformation, because that's my story. Like, online there are these blogs. Oh, blog in 30 days. You know what I mean? 2 weeks. 7 days, get a blog out there or whatever. But for me, the reality was the way I learned how I want to put things out, the content that I want to create, just the whole business model behind wellness and what is it that I want to portray to people? How is it that I want to help people? How is it that I want to communicate with people? That was very important for me, not to just, jump on it as another thing to do, or another, I really, for me, it's really an act of, service and sharing, my life
I
in
think you said
hopes that I help somebody else.
Yeah, I think you said something super important, that your story may not be everyone's story. And I think that we get caught up, and we get depressed and like looking at everybody else, anxious because someone else had their blog in 30 days and they got 100,000 subscribers, and
Yeah,
now
yeah.
we do the same thing. Or
Right,
maybe someone
right.
is inspired and they get it done in a day, and it's a thing. The thing is,
Yeah.
it's embracing our journey, embracing our story, and owning that.
Absolutely. And that's the thing too. It's like, right? I mean, you're, also in the, the wellness business of like positivity and motivation. I mean, it's $1 billion industry, you know what I mean? But it's like, for me, I'm excited to find my tribe. I'm excited to find, those that I connect with, those that I, kind of, they find my site and maybe they read something or see something, or maybe the website itself is just inspiring in itself creatively, so for me it's like there's room for everyone. I never used to think that. I always used to think that I needed to, like, come on, kick my way to the front, or or think my way to the front, or create my way to the front, and it's okay. I'll be moving to the front, but I don't have to. I can move to the front with everyone. You know what I mean? Like there's enough room, for everybody. And my story isn't everyone's story. Like there are people that I'm sure have done blogs in 30 days that are successful and great. That's great for them. But for me, it was different. For me, from what I thought it was going to be, even to what it is now, the niche that I'm in now was very different. So I really am grateful that I was able to embrace, the change. You know what I mean? The change that I don't want to be stuck to like, this is what it's going to be and this, that. I want to listen to what people need and fill
Mm.
that need. I want to hear, you know what I mean? What people are responding to, and hear that and see that, and respond to that myself.
What if we lived in a world where it were okay to let life happen? There's this debate, right? It's either you have to make it happen, you have to hustle, or you just
Yes.
sit back and just let things happen to you. I think that it's something in the middle. You know what I'm saying? Because we can run ourselves ragged just trying to work so hard to make it happen, and that's actually keeping us from the thing that we really want. But then we can also get really lazy and let opportunities pass us by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a great, yeah, no, I love all of it. I'm here for all of it. So me, I've actually experienced both, right? Growing up, it's like that's how I thought, like I trained as an actress. So it's like I'm gonna make things happen. I'm gonna, that's what it is, right? You go, you get that job, you audition for that part, and like the only way I'm gonna get it is if I made things happen, right? It was great. I was able to make the things that I wanted happen. But for me, my story, for me, the problem came when things were not happening. I was not okay when things were not happening. And so for me, it was like, instead of knowing that like that's a natural progression in life, right? Things happen and then they don't happen. It's like then, like we grow into something else happening, and that's I grew, I grow into other things happening that, and then they may not happen, or maybe something different may happen. But for me, being stuck in that, like, this is what I need to make happen today. You know what I mean? And then it happens and it's great. And I'm, you know what I mean? And I'm on cloud nine, and then now it's not happening anymore. So
Mhm.
now I'm on the hamster wheel trying to make the next thing happen, and then the next thing happened and the next thing happened. But then when nothing's happening anymore, I'm just left with myself and with all of my self reflections. And there's no growth there because I'm beating myself up about why I can't make the next thing hurry up and happen. It's like, but it will still happen, just not in my time,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know? And I need to do the work in order to make that next thing happen.
Woo.
Because even when I was making things happen, it wasn't like I was necessarily happy. Yeah, I was happy that I got the outcome, but on the way to the journey, I was miserable, you know?
As performers, I think that intrinsically, because of the society that we grow up in and the culture that we grow up in as actors and singers or whatever, it's all about performance. It's all about results. Results or performance equal worth. Because I'm on the Broadway stage or because I'm on the stage of the Metropolitan Opera, that means I'm worth something. Because this director likes me or because this person hired me, that means I'm worth something. Whereas if we don't get the job, if we don't get the opportunity, then we're not worth anything. So I think it's really about building ourselves up.
Yeah, I love that. And I do feel like I feel that, those achievements, right? Broadway, you've mentioned, direction on Broadway. Yeah, yeah, people on Broadway, they are worth that. But, also actors that haven't gotten there yet are worth that too. And I think that, it's perception, right? It's we each can define what success is in our own mind, and either beat ourselves up to live up to that, grow into that beauty, grow into that, whatever it is you want to be, a Broadway actor, singer, album out, whatever, we can grow into that, But I think for myself, I can just share my story. For myself, I always gave myself a time limit on when I should have grown into it. And if I didn't grow into it in that time limit, then I had a reflection of myself that something was wrong with me, instead of to keep growing into that moment. You know what I'm saying? And then grow into the next moment, into the next moment. It's like I was defining my moments and wanting them to happen. By this age, I should have that. By this time, I should be, by this, this should be happening. By that, well, okay, that may or may not happen, but that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. But I was defining my life and my happiness on that, and missing what was going on with myself today, what was going on, and therefore, again, the hamster wheel, I was on there again, repeating, mistakes, wondering why things weren't going my way, reaching back for the past, or running towards the future, but not even looking at how I could grow into myself in the moment,
In the moment. Talk to us about why you chose It's a Beautiful Life now.com.
So the interesting story about that is the domain name It's a Beautiful Life was not available. And so in the domains, they'll give you other things that are available. And so now was one of them. And I thought, wow, that's actually what I want to communicate, that the now part, So for me, it was my blessing that the regular It's a Beautiful Life wasn't available, and the now was there. And so I just started to, it just rang true for what my life is. Now I can choose, right, how to be in life and how to perceive life. And for me, it is a beautiful life now, today, right? Not because everything is going perfectly the way I want it to go, and not because I'm getting all the things that I want to have, right? But because I'm doing the work within myself to change my perception of life. And that didn't happen overnight. And it's interesting because even when I had started, the journey to, for my blog, I don't even know if I necessarily believed it then. I believed that positive things were happening for me. I believed that, the mustard seed of light inside me was growing, but I don't necessarily know if I believed I would have positive experiences. That's why I'm like, oh, it's a beautiful life now. So it started off as good things happen to me. I go out, I go outside, and one time I was my daughter was riding her bike, it broke down, and someone just came and helped her, helped me fix it. And it's so to me, that's where all of this started from. It's a Beautiful Life now. Wow. And it wasn't all these great things were happening back then, it was but that little thing, that stranger that came and helped my child fix her bike, wow, that's a beautiful thing, that little thing. And I started to just see the little blessings in my life, because that is a blessing, that someone who does not even know me or my child would come and help us, to me, it sounds kind of like, I don't know, all the stuff you hear out there, like, oh, on cloud nine, but really, it started from moments like that, or just someone, acknowledging me. Like, I was in the store the other day and I was just walking out and someone was like, yeah, have a good day. And I was like, oh, wow, like, thank you. Like, I was like, wow, thank you for seeing me. And she's like, yes, I acknowledge you. That's exactly what she said. And I was like, you know what? Thank you. Yeah. And like, I don't know. So for me, that means something, because there are people out there today that aren't being seen, that are depressed, that they can't see themselves. So when someone sees me just to say, hey, have a good day, like, I mean, maybe, hey, it's a Midwest Chicago thing, but to me, I was like, wow, thank you. Wow, you saw me today and I acknowledged you and you acknowledged me. So to me, today, that means something to me.
Listen, it's the little things, and it's also about choices. It's choices and perception. So when your daughter was out riding her bike and it broke down, you could have been like, "Oh God, another thing."
How did you know that's how right? Because that's usually, that would be my normal reaction. Again, do you know how I gotta buy another, like, oh, I can go down the yeah, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And and so what's interesting is that's my normal reaction to basically anything. And so for me to have the other side, right? It's like, it's refreshing. It's amazing to maybe not have that someone took my parking spot in front of me and it's like, okay, where before I'd be like rolling, you know what I mean, like waiting to give the middle finger, like wanting in my head, trying to like size them up. Am I gonna fight you because you took so it's like really nice today that somebody can just do that. And yeah, and it doesn't have to end up in tragedy, because I don't need to like engage with that. I'm happy. Good. You got the parking spot. Great. I'm sure there's another one waiting for me down the street or around the corner or even in front of where I live. Yeah.
I want to pause for a second and just let everybody know that Mehn has brought us a gift today for someone who's going to subscribe to the website. Tell us about what you're giving us today.
Yay! So I wanted to give away something that I was so afraid of losing when COVID started: money. So yeah, yes, right? Because there's enough to go around. So I want to give away a $75 Amazon gift card. Yes, anyone, go check out the site. And if it speaks to you, we have the Wellness Project on there, or even if you just want some updates, put in your email. And yeah, we will pick a winner who will spend $75 on Amazon.
Oh, something.
On
Yeah.
something. 75, that's I mean, for me, that's, that might be a couple things. Okay, maybe one thing on Amazon, but it's still something.
And listen, guys, the site is beautiful. It's really well laid out. There's beautiful artwork. And most of all, it's the content for me. there are articles about if you're having a bad day, how can you turn that around, or how can you be okay with where you are in life? So please go and check that out. Whoever is still around at the end of the show, after you subscribe, just type hashtag Damon Speaks, hashtag It's a Beautiful Life Now for your chance to win $75.
Yay! I'll be so excited to give that away. Yeah.
So, this is one of the things that I like wrestle with. Sometimes there's a lot of anger. Like if someone cuts in front of me in line, or someone takes my parking spot, and I was gonna get that. How do you deal with that, but also be in a place where you are like, or like, it's a beautiful life now, but I really want to beat your ass.
So here's the thing, right? Oh, did I say that I don't have those feelings anymore? No. Let me not, So here's the thing. It's interesting. I wrote an article too on how to turn anger into positive action. So here's the thing about anger. It's not that I feel that, for me, when I, because I kind of grew up like in the whole like new age, Conversations with God, A Course in Miracles, reading Neil Donald Walsh, Marianne Williamson, Wayne Dyer. And So I used to think that, growing spiritually meant that, anger, all the negative emotions, like, maybe anger, negativity, all of those things just had no place there. So I would always feel like if I got angry or if I got mad or, or disappointed, if I had all of those kind of feelings, those are just like bad feelings. I actually still struggle with that too. Like anger, or if I'm sad, or if something happens and I'm mad, I feel like I shouldn't feel that, I shouldn't, but being, for me, being on a spiritual journey or getting to know myself, those are normal feelings to have. It's what we do with anger, it's what I do with my anger that is what will define me. Like I don't think, okay, so if someone cuts me off and I get angry, and the thing is, that's for me, it can be an initial anger, it can be an initial defensiveness, it can be that initial like, oh, but now I can have it, and then I can reflect. Like, oh, you took my, oh, okay, you took my spot, you know? But before it'd be like, oh, you took my spot. I'm rolling up, you know what I mean? I'm looking, I'm mean mugging, like now it's like, it's not, for me, it's like, it's not, I want to allow myself to have those feelings and acknowledge those feelings, but that doesn't mean I have to act on those feelings. Where before I was all about action on those feelings, you know? If I was mad at a friend, oh, I'm calling, I'm letting them know. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you're going to know that, who I am, and you're not going to, all of that. I feel that that's, I don't even like having poor pitiful me parties. Like, if I'm upset about something, it's like, yeah, I have a poor pitiful me party, balloons and all, like why not? And then just let it go after that. But it's like, I think for me, it's important to acknowledge the fact that like those like feelings like that are important to have. I think growing up, even as kids, don't be upset, don't be angry, like, only be happy, only be happy. We can always just be happy, and it's like, why, where's the balance in that?
Mm-hmm.
One doesn't exist without the other. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how can it?
How can we appreciate the sunshine if there's never any clouds, if there are never any rainstorms? How would
Right,
the flowers grow
right,
if
and
they
not
didn't
only
grow
that, but we
more?
need the clouds and the rainstorm, right? That's why it rains. I mean, we need that. And so for me, I think it's the responsibility though of what we do with that. I think it is what is the defining factor in that. you
Mm-hmm.
know it's like, yeah, am I going to get angry and then get out of my car and do, you know what I mean, and take it to that level,
Right, right,
or am I going to get angry and let it go?
right. Hey, Marlon. Thank you so much for tuning in. That's my friend Marlon. He's tuning in all the way from Berlin, Germany. I know it's
Oh,
early there. I love
that's
you so much.
awesome.
Ooh, ooh. For the bulk of my life, I always thought I had to be a nice person. I thought I had to be the nicest person. I thought that I had to let everybody walk all over me. I thought that I had to go along with what everyone else wanted me to do. And so I hid my feelings of jealousy. I hid my feelings of anger. I dated this boy one time. He was like, I've never seen you angry. Like, that's weird. And I was like, is it weird? It was weird. Because I get angry, I get jealous, and so I
Yeah.
refuse to be in another relationship, especially romantic, but also otherwise, where I'm not able to be myself, where I'm not able to say what it is and how I actually feel. So I feel those feelings, but I'm able to decide how I want to release them or what I want to do with them. It doesn't mean I have to slap you across the face. It could
Right.
mean me writing in my journal. It could mean me going for a run. But I still feel that feeling like it's there. I can't not acknowledge it anymore.
No, exactly. And the thing is, you're getting into like relationships too, like romantic relationships or relationship with friends. I mean, for me, in my experience, it's really healing to have anger in front of someone, a partner that loves you, and to be validated for that. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And like to still be accepted, because I think I too can relate to that, like that niceness kind of thing, or that, or I'm a, you know what I mean, or I'm not nice, so I'm going to tell you, know what I mean, or that, jumping on that one too, like, oh, I'm not nice, she can tell you what it is, like, yeah, I'm not going to have any soft feelings, I'm going to let you know what it is, but but that also can play into like that whole masking thing of not being vulnerable and not having any, real feelings. Because it's
Mhm.
like, oh yeah, I'm so tough. I'm so tough. Like, like you can't get to me because I'm tough. Like my heart is tough. Like what are you gonna do? Like, so I think it plays both ways, and I think it's healthy, of course. And again, when I'm talking about anger and stuff, and um, I do believe there's healthy levels to that. You know?
Absolutely, because we are not robots. We're not
No,
perfect. My
no.
friend would say, he say, "Bitch, you're not a batch of cookies. You're never gonna be perfect. You're never gonna be better."
I like that one. All this time we've been friends, and I've never heard that one from you. What?
Here's the debut.
I like that one. I like that.
I'm not
Maybe
a
I'm
batch.
stealing that one.
And you know what? I'm finding that the more that I'm able to allow myself to feel those bad feelings, the more peace I have in the moment, the more beautiful life actually becomes now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And the thing about feelings, we're talking about feelings. The thing about feelings is that it's, for me, it was hard for me to like uncover any feelings. Because I never dealt with them when I mean, it was like I would just barrel through life, like, you know what I'm saying? And so feelings are not an easy thing for me to, to face or deal with or define. As a matter of fact, you know what I'm saying? I, come from, using food to feed my feelings. And so for me, it's like having learned to like put the food down and not eat emotionally, or use food as to either stuff my feelings or to celebrate my feelings or to do all those other things with my feelings. It's been quite a journey because it's like, yeah, I used to be tired and be like, oh, I'm hungry, or happy and oh, I'm hungry, or mad and oh, I'm hungry, or literally eating my words, from things I didn't want to say or what I felt how I couldn't be. And so for me, when I talk about feelings, it's like I don't have the answers, for that, but I know for me, it didn't work to not acknowledge what I was feeling or to not, because it just, for me, it turned into a food addiction. It turned into like I'm eating, everything, just to not, I'm eating my life. I'm eating my words. I'm eating my feelings. I'm eating who I am. I mean, I just couldn't handle it. It's like I always say, well, I do say it was true for me that I had a life problem that I use food to
Mm,
deal with. And so
mm.
for me, when I talk about feelings, that's my truth, when it comes to that, because it's like I used food in order to, um, yeah, to really cover like who I was. I kind of hid behind that.
You know that you and I are like kindred.
I'm just being real. Oh my gosh, I can't believe. Yeah, the one thing that's plagued me, I just put it out there.
So, talk about truth, talk about a story. If there's anyone that's watching this that knows me in any way for any amount of time, you know that I have struggled with my weight. So I've been up 100 pounds, down 100 pounds, up 80 pounds, down 20 pounds, like up, down, up, down, up, down, mostly up, but sometimes down. And how did we meet? We met in a food program.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah, we did. We did. Yeah.
I just remember the first time I called you, someone was like, "You need to call this woman. Like she's awesome." I was like, "Okay," and it was like this is my friend.
Yeah. Yes, we did. Yep.
So
And
give us a
ever
little
since
bit
then,
tight, okay? Tight, like you know all the things.
yep.
Give us a little bit more insight into your journey around food and your journey to having peace around food.
Yeah, it's been a long one, especially coming from like, for me, I always want to say for me because I don't want to make my story everybody's story because it's not. I'm sure there's people that can relate to me, but again, I don't want to make it like my story is everyone's story. But for me, coming from like being, uh, and a performer, all of that, if I'm that journey when I was younger, it had a lot, to do with it. I'm not blaming that on it. I mean, for me though, the body image part did have kind of a lot to do with it. And like, again, I have a life problem that I choose to use food to deal with. And thank God I don't anymore. Not that I don't still have, like, I feel like a broken brain around food. Not by any means. I feel like for me, I don't think that will ever kind of like, go away. But I do have a daily reprieve today. And it as like, like you said, all the things. um it's definitely a journey, like a spiritual journey, a mental, physical, and spiritual journey for myself. And I'm not gonna, it'd be easy to sit here and be like, oh yeah, so I did this and then this is what happened and I love, um I was yo-yo up and down too, like just like you up, down, all the way around. And today, like, I don't have to be afraid of like going back up. I don't have to be afraid of it. I was always afraid, it's like I was always like afraid of, like, because I was always on a diet, and I'm just not, to me, it's a life. I have a lifestyle today. I don't have a diet. For me,
Mm.
diets, um, it just perpetuated my problem. And it didn't matter, because it's like, oh, I could go on this diet today, but don't worry, I'm gonna meet that, extra 80 to 100 pounds. I'll see you in a couple months. You know what I mean? And so
Mm.
for me today, it's, I do feel grateful that I have a lifestyle, and I do feel grateful that, I have a spiritual journey that I'm on, that I can, and a daily reprieve from it, and I feel like that's what's most important to me. And so today, what's most important for me, I guess, also, which is important, another reason, going back to the site, is like all of that mental health, physical health, spiritual health. If I don't work on that every day, like to have a daily, and I'm not saying being perfect at it, but I'm saying if I don't work on that for myself, like if I don't work on that for myself, then I know in 2 seconds I'll be back to, using food to feed my emotions and to handle my life and to deal with my life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I don't want that. And I didn't want that ever, but I just didn't know how to um not make that happen.
We have a question. Do you think learning what triggers you to use food as an answer takes the power away from food being that go-to?
No. The thing is, it's like I have a PhD in food addiction. And the thing is, I was such a self-seeker, right? I thought, okay, if I could figure out why I do this, then I could figure out the answer. If I could figure out what triggers me, like the person asked, if I could figure out my trigger, then I would be able to, you know what I mean, to get it together. But you know what? All of that self-seeking, trying to figure it out, I found it. I was like, oh, okay, well, when someone says this to me, I'm upset, or when I get angry, I want to eat. But then it was like, okay, but yeah, but also when I'm happy, when somebody else does it. Like, the problem was I had so many triggers. Like, life is my trigger. And so for me, I do not, unfortunately, I do not feel like that. For me, that, no, I don't feel like that. I feel like for me, what changed was really getting, okay, I'm gonna say this. Okay, boy, we getting real in here.
No,
Woo!
this is the
Okay,
Damon
so
Speaks show.
yeah, no, I love it. So for me, honestly, it was something outside of myself. I choose to say God. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm saying everyone needs God in order to, like, get rid of, their food or addiction problem. I'm not saying that. I'm saying a power outside of myself. I choose to call God. You know, um, for me, getting closer to that is what helped me not need to know what triggers me. Because for me, I was always self-seeking for years. What I was always on in a diet book. Okay, what can I do online? In different programs. We met in a program. You know what I mean? I was always trying to self-seek, and And finding a trigger is another way for self-seeking. And self-seeking doesn't mean it's not figure it out, because I'm never going to figure out what drives me to do that because it's such a habit. But when I start to gain a closer spiritual relationship, so for me, meditation is extremely important. It's extremely important when I meditate, because to me, that's getting closer to whatever that higher power is for
Mm.
me, and asking that thing outside of myself to help me.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is what will help those triggers, because then it's not about the trigger, it's about yourself, it's about what's inside of you. And so when something does trigger you, you won't need to seek what that trigger is, and because it's going to be tons of triggers in life. But what will happen instead is the answer will unfold in front. The answer started to unfold in front of me. I was still getting triggered, but the answer was unfolding on how do I deal with that trigger. But that was because meditation, I was getting closer to God, other people, extension, you're an extension. Sometimes another person is the only Bible I read.
Listen,
Sorry to say, but it's
listen.
true.
It's true. One thing that I really am loving about you telling your story right now is that, and we talked about this, I think it was yesterday, you're not putting your numbers first. You're not saying, oh, I was this big and now look how small I am, because that turns a lot of people on, because that's talking about, the end result or the destination, but they're missing the journey. They're
Yeah.
missing the journey. And not everybody's
Well,
going to
yeah,
be
and that's yeah, right. Well,
everybody.
also what's so interesting too, yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing too, because it's funny, because that's what I was always worried about. I want to weigh this. When I weigh that, then I can do this. You know what I'm saying? Like that. And so I don't do that now, because it's not about that, because I learned that my value is not in the scale. That's always where I was putting my value. Oh, if I woke up and I was 1 more pound than I was yesterday, oh, I was going to have a terrible day. Like that's a trigger. That's what I'm saying. Life triggered me. Hey, I used to live in New York. New York triggered me. Okay. I was triggered every day, So it's like, everything would trigger me, because I was always trying to control something. For me, my food, it was also about control. And I just couldn't control anything. So it's like I was always being triggered, So that self-seeking, and that, why am I doing this? Why? I thought that too, if I could just figure it out. But you know what? I still haven't figured it out today. And the numbers, that is such a good point that you make, because that is constantly what ran my life for years. The number on the scale, the number on the scale. I lost it. I mean, 100 pounds twice already, on my way to a third one. So it's like, that value, I took it off of the scale and I put it into myself, because it's like that I'm never going to reach that number, because the number doesn't equal my value, you
Mm-hmm,
know,
mm-hmm,
anymore. It used to, but it doesn't anymore,
mm-hmm.
you know?
Times when I used to put like all my hope, all my dreams, all my worth in the number, I would touch the
Mm-hmm.
number. I'd be like, and then bounce right back off of it and be in outer space, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. And another interesting thing too is like, so my numbers, gone down, down. And I didn't lose all of my weight how I thought it was going to come off. I'd be like, oh, I'm going to lose 50 pounds in 3 months, and then be pissed off when, you know what I'm saying? It was the third month and I barely cracked, 10 pounds. So it's like, again, a self-defeating, but scientifically too, like that just doesn't match, like that just, I would have to starve myself, and I have, I've done, please, we can go down the gamut of that, but it's like just the unrealistic expectations that I would put around myself, and around food and around weight and around all of that craziness,
Mm-hmm.
I was just tired of it. I was like, here I am again. I wasn't happy. I was like, here I am, not happy, overweight. And it's even like humbling to even admit that now, because I never want to admit to people that like I always want to think I have it together. I'm only going to take a picture from a here and up. You know what I'm saying? You don't see my body or like pretend like I'm okay when I'm not. Like, so even to be admitting this on your show, like live, I'm like, yeah, like this is my truth. And I don't need to pay today for the wreckage of my past. Like, I don't need to do that. I don't need to punish myself for the wreckage of my past. Like, I don't need to, if there are things that I need to make amends for, I can do that. You know what I mean? I can do that, but I don't need to continue today to, punish myself or beat myself up about what I did yesterday, last year, last month, a year ago, whatever. That wreckage will come, and I'll have to handle that. But as far as that, it's like I can work on the tools every day so that when it does come, I can handle it with grace and I can keep my head high.
Yes, ma'am. It's funny when you talk about photos and like taking a photo from here, like because when I'm skinny or when I was skinny in the past, like I lived for the skinny pic. I lived for the full body pic. And there will be
Yeah.
people who I thank and I love to this day that would comment under the photo, "You've always been beautiful. We've always loved you. You're beautiful whether you're big or you're small." And last week I did a really freeing thing and I posted a full body picture of myself as I am right now, thick and juicy. And it was
Nice.
so freeing to do that because I can tell you, if I go through my Instagram feed, you know when I'm skinny and you know when I'm
Right.
not.
Right.
This is what you're getting. You're only getting this, but no more. Well, I'm not doing that anymore. Mm-mm.
Right.
Uh-uh.
Yeah.
Uh,
Absolutely.
the other thing is like that when I lose, this is why I got my chest tattoo. I used to always think when I lose 100 pounds and I get, my chest the way I want it to be, I'm going to get a chest tattoo. And then I decided, you know what? I'm going to celebrate it as it is right now. And it's brought me so much joy. Or when I lose weight, I'm going to go to the beach and I'm going to take off my shirt. The
Yeah.
honest to God truth that I'm about to say on the Damon Speaks show right now is that when I was really thin, like at my thinnest, everybody was like, "Oh man, I was getting the attention, the boys, all the things." There were still things about my body that I didn't like. There was still skin, there were still all these things. So whether I'm big or I'm small, if I take off my shirt at the beach, it's going to be the same feeling. So why not just be who I am, be where I am, and celebrate where I am today? Because life is what? Beautiful
Now. And I love that you say that too, because like for myself, you know, also too, like I up and down, thin one minute, not the next. But still, even in those days, like in those moments when I was like thin or thought I was, thin, I'm feeling myself, whatever, I still wasn't happy. I thought like, oh, when I get, you know what I'm saying? It's like, but it was like, it still was never enough. It was like
now.
still just never enough, you
Hmm.
know? I
Never.
remember, being in New York and like taking dance classes at Broadway Dance Center and like doing Bikram yoga and, then going to sing. And I remember starting to have like anxiety attacks, like because I just wasn't eating enough, but I was like taking all these dance classes and like, doing all this yoga and like and Pilates. Like it was crazy, but I just, and even then I was like tapping the scale at like 170, like I was just tapping it. And I
Hmm.
remember like having oh my gosh, I'm going to tell this story. I remember having a panic attack, but thinking I was having a heart attack in front of Broadway Dance Center, okay, in New York back in the day. The ambulance comes and I'm like, oh, like I'm dying. Like I literally thought like, my thought was like, oh my gosh, like I'm going to have a heart attack. Like this is it for me. Of course I'm thinking, God, this can't be it for me. Like, dang, my album hasn't even come out yet. No, seriously, literally thinking that, having a panic attack. And so anyway, the ambulance comes and they're like, well, nothing's wrong with you. Like nothing, like literally nothing is wrong with you. And just in that was such like a life-changing moment for me, because it was like all of this that I'm doing to myself. And even after that, I didn't change. It was a life-changing thought, I can say, because after that, I didn't change. I still had gone on years, abusing my body. But in that moment, I just thought to myself, like, wow, like all of this turmoil I'm bringing to myself, all of this like pain that I'm creating for myself, because why? I just cannot accept who I am today. It's just never good enough, you know? And I was really sad for myself in that moment because, a panic attack, I don't wish it on anyone. Like some people are like, oh, I'm nervous. It's like, no, no, no. When you have a panic attack, like you'll know. It feels like the world is coming, like a heart attack, really. Like if
Mhm.
I was going to describe it. And I was just really sad for myself in that moment because I'm like chasing, all, this dream and doing that. But it was just still never good enough. And I was like, wow. And like as the ambulance is driving away, I still remember thinking like, man, like I created all of this thing. Like my body probably was just having a reaction from doing all of like working out all that time, doing all that and like eating soup. And I thought, wow, like I created all of this for myself. And like, I was just sad, like, cause and like, I'm in the moment now. Cause it's like, I still don't even have anything to say about that. I
Mm.
was just sad,
Mm.
and I didn't, and back to the comments of like, thinking of like your triggers. It's like, none of that ever mattered because everything was always triggering me.
Mhm.
So it didn't even matter in that moment. But but today I don't know, I just look back and I just realized that like all of that, everything, I guess the running theme for that was like I just could never accept who I was in the moment ever. And that's why I think it's really important that I named my site It's a Beautiful Life Now, because it's not like, oh, now because nothing bad is ever going to happen to me, but it's
Mhm.
like, yeah, it's a beautiful life now because in light of anything bad happening to me, you know I know that, or I pray for the tools to be able to handle it. I don't know what's going to happen, but I do pray that I have the tools to handle that, you know?
I feel like this next question kind of speaks to what you were just saying. Marlon says, which space does she feel is her normal body, small or big? Maybe trying to be small is playing the game of fooling your mind to make you lose weight for society standards and not being your norm.
Right. So, what's interesting about Marlon's question is I'm here today, so I don't judge my body as the past or the future, right? So for me, what's normal is what is who I am today. Why? Because part of my body is just not about what I'm eating. It's about what I'm feeding my brain and it's about what I'm feeding my soul. So I don't define myself anymore as like, oh, in the big body, because that's what I did before, right? I was trying to live to society. I would see the magazines, and plus I'm 5'8", so like, ooh, when I was thinner, people like, oh, you look like a model. I'm like, oh, do I? Oh, do I? So yeah, I was absolutely feeding into all that. Oh, and being an actress too, I was trying to, what I'm saying, get up there like, yeah, you know, and I'm not going to lie, I was definitely trying to feed into society's a definition of what beauty was, but I don't do that today because for me, I feed my whole body, my physical, my spiritual, and my mental. So I don't need to I don't even need to think about, oh, is it the bigger one, is it the smaller one, is it the all I need to do is put my food on my scale, weigh that, and have that. And you know what? And I leave the rest up to God.
It's interesting that when you do the things that you feel like, or actually you have like results, the things that feed your spirit, that make you feel
Mhm.
good, that ended up in this body. It's not like you're trying to be skinny, you're trying
Right.
to be ones.
Isn't
Oh,
that crazy?
okay. I got it.
Yeah, it's like the thing, right? So, and I'm not saying that this journey was easy. No, it wasn't. But what I'm saying is right. So it's so interesting that like today I'm in a right size body, and it's like I don't. That's why I said earlier, like I don't have a fear of like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna wake up again, and like I'm gonna, you know what I mean? I'm like white knuckling everything, and oh my goodness, because it's like now the food I feed myself is healthy food, but also meditation, also connecting with people that have like minds, reading, amazing material that inspires me, doing service, through my blog with writing, like that also, gives me a connection. Like that feeds my soul. So I don't need to grab things to like, put in my body because I'm nervous about whatever, because I'm feeding my spirit, my physical, mental, and spiritual self. And
Hmm.
in doing that, I free myself from needing to feed myself things that don't belong in my body,
Right.
you
It's
know?
the things that you were feeding your body were making you sick and making you like just unhealthy. And a result of that was just being overweight. You know what I'm saying? It's not that you're saying that I mean, there are people in the program that we have been a part of that
Yeah.
have got super small, like anorexic small. But you're in a healthy place. You're in a
Yeah,
balance.
and again, I've been there before. I've been, yeah, I mean, yeah, for me, it's a progression, of, for food. Yeah, I am in a healthy place, but I also wanted to mention, because you were mentioning, like, you know, feeding myself things would put me in an unhealthy body. But the issue for me was that I had an unhealthy mind. And so I was feeding, trying to feed my mind too, my unhealthy mind. I'm unhappy. You know what I mean? Like my feelings, my emotions. I think we talked about that earlier. So that's, what um I just had an unhealthy mind. So I wasn't happy. And like that was the thing that was just there. Like I was never really into alcohol. I was never really into like I mean, I guess replaced it with anything. Food was just my thing. um yeah, I mean, that was just my thing. So I didn't care for whatever anything else. I mean, food was just my thing. So today I don't need to I absolutely have done all the things that your viewers are commenting on. Yeah, yep, I was there. Yep, me, raise my hand for that. Yep, trying to live up to society. Yep, trying to be in a small body, not accepting myself. Ooh, right there, I'm number one. I'm leading the line. Okay, but today I can stand in my power and and be okay with myself. I can just wake up and hit the reset button.
Alcohol just happens not to be my thing. Any other drug just happens not to be my thing. Sex just happens not to be my thing. But that food, it'll take me down every time. We have another question from Nishar. He says, what is one tool you use every day in your everyday life that helps you get through the day?
Really, babe? You. No, that's sweet. Sorry guys, that's my husband. I'm not flirting with his viewers. What is one thing? I would have to say meditation. Meditation is the one thing for me that helps me get closer to God. Meditation does, and for me that's the part that feeds my soul. you
Hmm.
know it's the
Hmm.
part that gives me insight. It's the part that makes me feel balanced. And it's the part that I have to have discipline to do, so it helps me have discipline. Like it's not like I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna wake up at 5 and meditate. All right, like no.
Mhm.
Mm-mm.
Mhm.
But I know that if I do not, eventually, you know, um, again, I'm gonna be living the diet life, and then that's just gonna lead me to yeah, no, no, I don't
The
want
diet
that. I've had
sucks.
that already. I know how that story ends. I don't. I'm trying to rewrite my story. I know how that story ends. It's kind of
Yeah.
boring.
Man, that diet life sucks because it's never enough. Like you said, it's never
No.
enough. You cannot diet enough to feel the whole of
I'm
not
sorry, I'm
having like
laughing,
a
but
spiritual base. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying you have to be like, oh, God, I believe in you. But that higher
no,
power Christ whole in our bodies, there's nothing else that can feel that.
exactly. And I'm just telling my truth. Like I said, it's not like I'm, like you said, we're in. I mean, we've been in food programs, atheists too. Like, there's not, it's not a thing where it's like, oh God, God. It's like it's just something outside. I don't know. For me, I know there's something outside of myself, and when I try to control food, life, whatever, it ends up disastrous. I don't have control of that. And like I've spent years trying to control all of those things. And I mentioned earlier, like the one thing I want to give away today is the one thing I was afraid of losing, right? When COVID started was money. So it's like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, I can budget and things like that and have control in that way. But overall, you know what I'm saying? I don't have much control. I can control again my discipline, the things I do, blah blah blah. But overall life, you know what I'm saying? Like we're in the middle of a pandemic. I can't control that. You know?
Let's say there's someone that is really struggling with depression, anxiety, just being unhappy in their body. Why should they visit itsabeutifulLifeNow.com? What will they find there?
Well, if they end up on the site, um, you know, I don't necessarily know what any specific person would find there. I can tell you what my intentions are of putting the content on there. Um, I have written content in regards to turning anger into positive action, mindful meditation, um, how to have good days when days aren't so good. For me, you know, it's about turning our everyday life now, right, and flipping it to the other side. Because for me, I was always on the side of the negative. It's very easy for me to see what's not going right, what I don't have, how I could have more, how the next person got something that I probably should have had, you know. But so that's just extremely easy for me to do that. And I'm not saying like, I don't know, whatever. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. For me, there was something wrong with it, right? There's still people that can live on that side of life, and that's fine. But for me, it was no longer working. And so if the universe happens to push people towards, it's a beautiful life now, my hope is that they find relatability, they find, I'm not trying to, I have the answers, right, that have helped me in my life. And that's what I'm reflecting. I'm not saying that I have the answers for everyone's life, but what I'm saying is that I am writing about the journey to the destination, not about just being at the destination. I was always trying to just get to the top of the mountain. I didn't care about how to climb up there. I didn't even want to climb. I just wanted to get there, and I wanted to get there quick, fast, and in a hurry. And it just never worked out that way, because on the way up, I was, I couldn't get it fast enough. I was unhappy if I got it. And even I did have happy moments. It wasn't like, oh, my life was just one big miserable mess. It wasn't. I had lots of happy moments, lots of beautiful things that have happened to me, but I was never able to really embrace that and be like, wow, wow, like I did get that job that I wanted, or wow, I went to that amazing school, or man, it was like, once I got in there, it was like, oh gosh, you know what I mean? Like, ugh, you aren't putting my costume on fine enough, or oh my good, like once I got in there, you know what I mean? It was like I was always finding something to complain about. And it's, and for me, it's not that I don't complain today. It's not that I don't see things that I don't like today, right? I'm not saying that either. What I am saying is that I can see that, but I can also see the other side just as quickly, where I never could do that before. I was always still on the other side. I was like driving like last week, and it was snowing, but like the sun was also out. And I was like, wow, that is like so beautiful. Okay, I'm in Chicago. I never remember a time where I was like, oh, that's so great. It's snowing and the sun is shining through the snow. And, you're just like, oh, man, it's cold outside. Like, here we go again. Like, when is it going to be? I'm waiting for spring, and then when it's summer, it's too hot. I'm waiting for it for fall. You know what I mean? I'm waiting for it to get cool again. And now it's cool. Okay, now I'm waiting for, it's like, that's usually me. And and it's fine. I love myself for that. But what I'm saying is, for me, it's a better life today, now, that I can, drive in my car and it's snowing and then the sun is out and be like, wow, look at that. Look at that. That's beautiful, and it's interesting because if I were myself, I'm going to reach back to the past right now. So if I were myself, right, like whatever, even 3 years ago, sitting here, like listening to someone talking like this, I'd be like, yeah, okay, great, whatever. Like,
girl.
Yeah, right. Right. Because I never got when people talk like that, all of this, no, just say positive affirmations and blah, blah, blah. And then, okay, I'm like, okay, if I go through one more sticky note of how beautiful I think I should be in the morning, or how whatever, it was never working. I had them stuck all over my house, and I still couldn't look at myself in the mirror, But when I started to do the work on the inside, from the inside out, I was always trying to change from the outside in. And now it's like I get to change from the inside out. And I don't ever want to let go of that, I don't. I was always trying to change from the outside in, always. And
somebody, because there's a pervasive mood in our culture that you can take something from the outside and bring it in. Like you're changing from the outside in, but that keeps people sick. That keeps people jealous. That keeps people feeling bad about themselves. How do
Yeah.
you go inside out? Did it start with meditation? Did it start with what did it, how did you cultivate that?
Well, again, I'm a big self-seeker. Like the person, I keep going back to the person who was like, if you could have pinpointed like the one, the question where they were like, the triggers and all of that, like that really resonates with me because that's who I was. Like I was a self-seeker with that, like triggers, so I was always reading, you know what I mean? Like and that's the thing, I always had like, I always love to just read books, you know what I mean? Like The Language of Letting Go or like Codependency No More. Like I was always into like reading that stuff. Like laughing. Oh, you can relate, huh? I was
That's my
always into like
stuff.
reading. Yeah, Conversations with God. Like I would just love to just sit and read that stuff, like really just read it. But it wasn't doing anything for me because I was never it sounded great and I'm like I could spew off lines from the books all the time, but I was never doing the work, like, and I would meditate, constantly. I took meditation classes. Like in New York, I was introduced to meditation and I just loved it. I go on silent retreats, but again, for me, it was the consistency. That's what it is, the consistency and the to find something, right, that speaks to me and be consistent about it. Because even in reading those books, even in, self-seeking, even in, again, I was just like, I wanted to feel good for the moment. Those books made me feel good. They made me feel really knowledgeable about like spirituality and how I could elevate myself. And, I would call myself like a spiritual snob, like, oh yeah, I could, or like judging someone if they felt, if they said something and it was like, oh, well, that's not very spiritual of you, but it's like, but knowing that like, real spirituality in life doesn't mean being a doormat, doesn't mean you're not getting angry, doesn't mean people could walk all over you, it doesn't mean that, I don't get up and do my best and go for the gold, I mean, I'm going for it, you know what I'm saying? Like that is not a question, like I'm not going to just sit back, like, this is my life, I'm taking it and I'm doing what I will do and what I can do and what's in the power, what's within me to do. Like, yeah, hard work, I love it, but at the same time, I can't control it and I'm not defined by it. I think that's the difference today for myself. That is, the change. And I think, how did I get here? Again, I'm not here to sell anybody, the destination. I'm here to talk about the journey. And it's not like, and it's not, for me, it wasn't, it was simple, but not easy.
Mm, mm,
It's a simple journey, but it's not easy because it comes into play with like boundaries and how do I respect myself? How, when I don't know what to say to someone, like how do I say it? Like before, it's like it's easy to, when I'm angry at someone, to be like, I'm telling them off, but how do I tell somebody something today with integrity? Like that ain't so easy, like how do I say something to someone who has done something to me and still be respectable about it? Like, to me, that's real power, like I could go off on anybody in 2 seconds. Like, believe me, I already know how to do that. But like, how do I approach someone at work or whatever? Like, how do I put myself in my boss's shoes? Like, that was a real hard one for me, because it's easy, at my old job when I would to complain. Oh my God, man, the manager, this, that. Like, how do I put myself in their shoes, even when I don't want to, even when I feel like I'm being wronged? Let's talk about that. How do
mhm,
we show up even when we feel like we're being wronged? I
mhm,
feel like people, I don't know, especially being, an African American woman, I feel like people expect, right, the snap, snap, like they expect the dream, they expect like, they expect like that dream stereotype, right? The angry Black woman, oh, she gonna snap her hand, she gonna, you know what I mean? But like, okay, I could do that. That's fine, but I could show up in a different way too, and that for me, that's important for me today. Before I didn't care how I showed up. If you did something, I'm telling you off, I'm letting you know, and that's what it is, but today, I want to show up and I want to have integrity. I want to, I want to treat people how I want to be treated. It's like, I want to give what I want. If I want more love, I want to give more love. If I want, more compassion, I want to give more compassion. If I want more understanding, I want to give more understanding.
mhm,
If I want more help, I want to take it off me and give more help. How do I, even in the smallest ways? Sounds, I don't know. I guess all this could sound just cliche, but for me, the slow natural progression of how that happened, literally for me, was just through. I did start, with meditation and with the spiritual practice. You know.
It takes a lot of power to say, you hurt my feelings. I don't appreciate what you
Yeah.
did. I will not stand for
Yeah.
this.
Especially. Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
listen, that has its place.
Right.
But it's
Right.
powerful to also stand in your truth and just be like, I'm not going to allow you to do this to me anymore.
Right. Especially in friendships, romantic relationships, work relationships, a boss. How can you go to your boss and you don't like something? I mean, there's a way. And to me, I feel like that was a big one for me. I also wrote something about workplace relationships, and how it's just important to have boundaries around that. For me, I just feel like that's just so important. If I don't have those boundaries for myself, how can I get mad at my boss when they texting me or calling me, you know, all hours of the night or after, like I don't have that I haven't set that boundary up. And I'm not saying it's easy. And I'm not saying, people don't want to get promoted. I'm not saying that, don't go for the goal, but what's more important? The respect that I have for myself, that others will have for me by seeing it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Because I could even bring it back to the food. I mean, my husband could tell you, like, on the days I was on a diet, it's like, don't ask me to eat that. How could you ask me to eat? You know what I mean? But in our days I wasn't, it's like, all right, Harold's chicken. Well, come on, fried chicken. Let's do it all, or whatever. Let's go get some pizza. Let's go, go have a margarita somewhere, But it's like, and then I'd be mad 2 months later when I'm on a diet. He's like, oh, do you want to go out? It's like, what? Excuse me? Like, you're not supporting me, So it's just those messages that I need to give myself first. Like, I need to listen to myself and respect myself first, and then it'll spill out, into other people.
If you're just tuning in, I'm talking with my friend Mehn, who created It's a Beautiful Life Now.com. It's a fabulous blog. If you go there and enter your email address and subscribe, you have a chance to win a $75 gift certificate from Amazon. At the end of the show, those who stick to the end of the show, just comments hashtag Damon Speaks, hashtag It's a Beautiful Life Now.com, and you will be entered to win this $75.
All right.
So I just want to ask you, because I know that there's someone either watching now that will watch later. If they have emotional problems, weight problems, whatever they have, they feel unlovable. And they feel like they will never find anyone. No one will ever want to be with them. No one will ever want to love them. Tell us a little bit about your love story.
Oh, my love story. Wow. Yeah. So for me, I have to say my, I guess, relationship, usually I hear that people will say, like, oh, I learned to love myself first, and then, gotta love yourself, and then, you'll find the right person. But
Oh, sorry, guys. Oh, this is the devil being busy. Hopefully, Mehn will come back in a second. But what she was going to go into, oh, she may be back. Is she back? Come on, Lord. Come on, Lord. Come on, Lord. Are you there, boo? You're there. You're back. Oh, wait. You're muted.
is
Okay.
that better?
Yes.
Yay! I told you I don't give up. I'm coming back. So yeah, so I was saying that, normally, I hear that, people say, oh, love yourself, just, again, sticky notes. And but for me, it happened the opposite. I met a person who, like, had so much unconditional love for me that I learned through that how to love myself, like in that way, like how to be vulnerable, how to not have a mask on, and how to, um, yeah, and to know that, to learn that it was like, it was really okay to be myself. And especially, I think I have to mention too, like as a person who has had, I'm gonna put that in the past, had like weight issues up and down here, just to have someone who like really, I will say to my husband, like, you really love my soul because you cannot see, you know what I mean? Like, come on now, come on, not at all, come on, so it just feels
Woman.
nice to like have someone like that, who's like wants to hug and touch on me, you know what I mean? If no matter what weight I am, So and to encourage me like to do what I have to do for my peace and for my, you know what I mean? Like for me, like not, taking him out of the equation. Like it's not about me, like it's about you. Like I'm here no matter what. But that's about how you want your life to unfold, like how you're gonna stand in your power. Like I have nothing to do with that besides helping that, you know what I mean? Besides helping your power, you know what I mean? Like by helping you become empowered,
Right.
because really other people do help us become empowered. Like today, me being here with you, you're helping me become empowered, like you're helping others empower themselves, by sharing, just by being here today. And I don't know if I would not have been able to be in a space like this, to be open and honest, because I couldn't be open and honest with myself. But today I can. And today it's okay, because what someone else thinks of me is none of my business.
Woo! You said a mouthful there. I couldn't be honest with myself. If I can't be honest with myself, how am I going to be honest with someone else? I also think it's just really important for those of you out there that feel like you're so messed up that you'll never be able to love yourself, that you'll never be able to find love or find a partner. It's not true. It ain't necessarily. So love can find you anywhere. I was listening to a podcast once, and this guy was like, if I waited until I was perfect, or if I actually waited until I was like in love with myself to have a relationship, I would never have a relationship. Sometimes being in relationship with someone is figuring it out. Sometimes being in relationship with someone is helping them unpack, or helping you unpack, or just being comfortable with the fact that you both have baggage and you're both going
Yes.
to deal with it. It doesn't have to be fairy tale. It doesn't have to be white picket fence. I used to think that it had to be that way, but now I've been a little bit more open to it just coming to me the way it comes to me, and it's a beautiful thing. Because why? Life is beautiful now.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so interesting too, because it's like after that whole white picket fence thing too, I love that, because it's like, I remember after we got married, I was like, oh, I'm thinking like, okay, well, you know what I mean? Isn't the Red Sea gonna part? It's like something going to, like, what is, you know what I mean? But literally, and we had talked about this before too. It's like, oh, I'm starting to feel, yeah. And my husband's like, okay, literally nothing has changed besides the fact that, like, okay, yeah, we got married, we have a sheet of paper. But it's like, still in my head, it was like, oh, but now shouldn't it be like, I don't know, like white picket fence, like you said, like, I don't know, shouldn't things be happening? I mean, shouldn't roses be falling at my feet every time? You know what I'm saying? Like, I walk out, like, shouldn't something just be different and like so Disney like? But it's like, no, because it's like, it's still life. And we, in our relationship, like we choose, at any given moment to either grow closer together or grow closer apart. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's a choice in a relationship at any given moment, even in a
Mhm,
friendship. It's
mhm.
like, are we going to go closer together? Are we going to grow further apart? Like, are we going to communicate, or are we going to not communicate? Because that brings a wedge. So, yeah, and I just really feel grateful that I'm able to just, have a journey and be who I am, just to really have someone that validates me. It's really, becoming from the person I am, like maybe other people, they don't, or whatever. Again, my story, uh, I'm sure the people out there that don't need to be validated, but I need to be validated in that way. So, I'm going to own that. I'm okay with that.
It's who
I'm
you
okay
are.
with that.
Be who you
Yeah.
are right now.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful life
Exactly.
now. It's a beautiful life
Exactly.
now.
Exactly. And so, and I'm growing into my life every day, and I am excited, just to share that, and just to be a part of that, possibly for others. I'm excited for that. And again, it's I don't know everything, but I know some things. So
Okay.
And I know that it's the journey to the top of the mountain that matters most, for me. Yeah.
This has been amazing. This has been fantastic. Again, subscribe, put your email in at itsabeautifulLifeNow.com
Yes.
to win that $75 gift card. We're coming toward the end of the show, so you can now start to put in that hashtag Damon Speaks,
All
hashtag
right.
Life Now. And Min, you're going to email the people and let them know if they win.
Yes, because once you go in, then there has to be a subscribe, and so I'll get the subscribe up, and then we can see, and then I will email you the 75. Let's see. I want to be able to. We were having technical difficulties, so let me. Hold on, my hubby's gonna come help us out. He's very giving too.
So yeah, again, go to
Okay.
itsabeautifullifenow.com. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning in. I love each and every one of you. It's easy to get caught up in numbers and followers and all those things, but I know I have some diehards out there, and you guys
Yes.
are so supportive.
Yeah, so here's what we'll do, because I know you probably have to end your show. So I'm going to go on, if they're hashtagging in there, I'm going to get because we are having technical difficulties, I'm going to get the first person on there and email them from Damon Speaks, and then I will email them their 75, so you'll know who wins. And then if you want, on your next show, you can just announce who the winner was.
Yes.
And maybe they'll tell you what they spent it on. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That would be. But I just want to thank, you, Bernard, for everything, everyone that's here tonight, giving me a space to be open and honest. And the feedback. I love the questions, the feedback. I'm here for it all, I don't know. It just really filled my life today. One of the many gifts I've been given today. So
Do you have a final word for the people? Anything you want them to take through this week?
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I do. I don't know, we spoke a lot about just the journey, right? And so I had to begin somewhere. And I just want everyone to know. I just want everyone to know that no matter what, you know, today brings, it doesn't have to define you either way. Like it doesn't have to define your future. You don't have to define yourself by, what's happening now in the world, or there's a lot of not so good things happening. There's a lot of people, dying from this pandemic. There's a lot of, people that have COVID. There's a lot of people that survived COVID. I mean, I had COVID. And, there's always, I guess, two sides, and I don't want to downplay anything that's going on at all, like that's going on in this world. But I would have just never thought that in a pandemic that started out, I was able to, to be okay, physically, spiritually, emotionally, financially, to be able to, get up and start this blog, and I've talked about this blog for so long, to Bernard. And just one day he was like, oh, why don't you just come on my show? And he didn't even know that I had already launched it already at all. Like, that to me is just a testament to, like, I don't need to, like, sit there and feel like I'm, working to the bone. And I mean, yeah, I work hard, but what is it? Like, I can do my 1%, right? And God will do the other 99. I love that saying. I
Okay.
take that every day. Like, 1%, I can do that, Like, I can do that. So I think if that's anything I want to leave people with, it's that. It's that, it's what's inside, right? If we go within, we go without. And
Yeah.
I just want to just remind everyone of that, like, no matter what you're going through, today, it doesn't have to define tomorrow. And yesterday is gone. So don't even try to reach back for that.
I love it. I love it. Next week, I have a fantastic life coach that's going to be on the show. We're going to kick off a series about love. The first week of February, we're going to be talking about dating and your dating style and the red flag that you should be looking out for. The second week, I want to talk to the singles. I want to talk to the people that are in the dating game. I have several people, dynamic guests that are coming onto the show. The third week, I want to be talking to married couples. What is this marriage thing all about? Did they feel like they were ready? Did they feel like they could do it? How are they feeling 10 years, 5 years, 2 years in? And then the fourth week, we're going to talk about heartbreak. We're going to talk about breakups. We're going to talk about divorce. I have someone really special coming onto the show. So if you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. If you're on Facebook, hit that like button, share with people that you think this may be a blessing to and a blessing for. I love you guys. Come back every Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube and Facebook. And with that, stick around, boy. I want to talk to you.
Okay. Always.